Mr. Barr here for your driver's ed lesson for the day. What we're going to talk about today is Chapter 8. So yesterday, or Thursday I guess it would have been, we looked at Chapter 7, Search and Meaning. We looked at sight, the different types of sight. We took visual acuity, distance vision, depth perception, central vision, peripheral vision, color vision, glare recovery. Talked about balance, pitch, roll, yaw. Looking 20 to 30 seconds ahead, looking to the sides at intersections especially, looking behind us from time to time. And the last thing we talked about is different attention levels and commentary driving. And today we're moving into Chapter 8, Options and Responses. Options are basically the different things that we could do in each driving scenario that happens. Options will get better the more you drive and the more experience you get. Your reaction to the situations will be faster. In a way, you have comparisons to those options, so you'll have multiple options that you could choose from. You got to compare very quickly and then act upon that situation. And when I'm talking about this, I'm not talking minutes, I'm not talking seconds. You got split seconds to kind of go back to a reaction or some sort of scenario that you might think would work. And the toughest thing that some people have with driving and when I'm talking about this stuff is they want concrete answers. And on most of these driving situations, I probably cannot give you a concrete response of what you should do because there's so many variables at play that what is correct in one scenario is not going to be correct in the next scenario. So you're always going to have to make, choices and then evaluate your choice when you're done. Assumptions are the next thing. You have to assume things in the car, and I've told you this before. It's a horrible way to go through life is assuming negative, but in a driving situation, your best bet is to always assume negative. Because if you assume positive, you cannot react to it. And then, like I said, make a choice, evaluate choices, and put it in your memory bank of whether that was a good choice or a bad choice. The second section of this chapter looks at the reaction time it takes to make these maneuvers. And again, we're not even talking seconds here, we're talking split seconds. You have human perception, which is you perceiving what's going on around you. Human reaction is you telling your body what to do. And then you have vehicle reaction, because unlike cartoons where cars stop instantly, in real life they do not. So there's going to be time and distance involved in stopping that vehicle or doing a maneuver. And all those things added up kind of determine how much space you should give when you're looking at your 3-second rule, your 5-second rule, 8-second rules, whatever it may be. It's called the 3-second rule, but for a new driver, I've told you guys time and time again, 5 to 8 seconds is probably a better approach, especially 8 seconds in bad weather conditions. Then it says, how can we manage space around us? Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. We can steer to manage time and space. Meaning we can maneuver ourselves in the lane for safety, depending on what's going on around us. We could swerve, but swerving can be very dangerous. If you're traveling at low speeds, swerving to miss something, it probably works. But if I am going 55 or faster, swerving not the best option because you're probably going to end up flipping your car. In the book that we have in class here, there's page 171, a picture of a deer, and this is one of the most common issues we run into. The most important thing is insurance would tell you, and general statistics would tell you you should not swerve to miss a deer. This is why. It sounds terrible, but if I hit my brakes and I hit the deer, there's a good chance the deer will die. But I will probably be okay. There's a chance I could get injured, but I'll probably be okay. My car is going to be damaged. Insurance can fix it. But if I swerve, the deer's alive, my car's totaled, and I am possibly severely injured or dead. And I'm not trying to sound heartless, but the first scenario with a dead deer and a damaged car is much better than death. So make sure we follow those rules and just don't swerve at high speeds. You probably shouldn't swerve to miss animals. Accelerating to manage time and space, there are times where acceleration is a must. Our human reaction most times is to go to the brake, but there are times where accelerating to not cause a wreck is the best option. Signaling is always a great idea because signaling is communication to what I am doing. And then it says adjusting speed and vehicle position on curve should be done prior to the curve, not during the curve. Managing visibility, this is where we break down the different leads. The first one is called the visual lead. This is the 20 to 30 seconds we talked about in the last chapter. So that's looking far ahead. Visual control zone is 12 to 20 seconds. This is still an area that is going to be relatively safe, because if we can notice something 12 seconds away, there's no reason we should hit it. Response zone is going to be the 8 to 12 seconds. Still should be somewhat safe, because if it's 8 seconds away from me, I should be able to react to it. A following interval is going to be that 3 to 8 second range, and now we're getting into the crash zone, because the 3 second rule does work, but as things get 3 to 8 seconds away from my car, now they are kind of in my crash zone. But then there is the potential immediate crash zone, that is 0 to 4 seconds. Anything that is, they're saying kind of 4 seconds or less, 3 seconds or less, is definitely going to be something that you will hit in a abrupt situation. And the worst example I can give you for this is rush hour traffic. Because in rush hour traffic, what you end up having is you end up having 4 or 5 cars, 6 cars in your immediate crash zone. And that's why at times in the winter or even just pure rush hour, you'll see these massive car pileups. Because what happens is the first car gets in an accident, and then it's like dominoes. The next one does, the next one does, and the next one does. Because if you're in that 0 to 4 second range, you do not have time to stop. And you end up with these 20, 30 car pileups. Margins of safety. I talk about margins of safety quite a bit because it's the smart thing to do. Always give yourself space margin and space cushion. Give yourself more time. One of the things I say a lot is set yourself up to succeed, not fail. And the best way to succeed in a car is more time. Give yourself time, position to make sure that you have time to react to whatever might happen. I just mentioned it a couple minutes ago here where we were talking about, rush hour traffic. That's a time where it's almost impossible to control all those variables. You might have to do it if you work in St. Louis, and it's just one of those deals that you have to be very alert when you're driving in those conditions. On page 178 of our book, it shows a picture of a car following a bigger vehicle, and it shows how you can't see anything except for the back of that vehicle, and that is a terrible position to be in, because if I can only see the back of the vehicle that's in front of me, I have no clue what's happening in front of them. So basically, if that truck gets in a wreck, I am going to wreck. So in a situation like that, they're basically trying to tell you to back up. Back up so that you can see some of the stuff that is going on in front of that truck. That's pretty much it for chapter 8. This will probably be our last lecture for this class. This will be your lesson for Tuesday, along with questions. Wednesday is probably going to be the review. And then on Friday, what I'll do, or Thursday will be getting you guys set up for printing off permit paperwork, because what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go to get your permits. And I'll have a separate video on that probably next Wednesday, where I'll talk about all the logistics of what has to happen. The other thing that has to happen is there are still some remote learners, you guys, that have not contacted me about taking the permit test. No permit test, no permit. So until you come to school on one of those times that I have listed, which would be Tuesday or Thursday, so for you, if you're watching this video, will probably end up having to be Thursday, you're not getting your permit. You also, if you don't pass a class, you don't get your permit. So make sure you're catching up on things and watching your videos. Thank you.